and welcome to the Everyday Board Game Podcast with your host, Daniel.
And Daniel.
Daniel, how you doing?
Doing all right. A little raspy today from all the shenanigans yesterday.
I mean, I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah.
You know, it's been, almost like 18 hours.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah, give or take.
9:45 yesterday is the last time I saw you.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, the shenanigans yesterday. I rarely see you that hangry. And let me put context into why I'm bringing this up. We took a trip over to a state over. We went to one of the game stores there, or actually a few game stores.
For trading in purposes and stuff like that.
We traded a lot of games, having fun, trying to get some new stuff to our collections and whatnot. And you're on a new diet now, and it's pretty restrictive.
I have
right?
to,
and I'm still learning.
Like, it's basically keto style, high protein, low carb diet.
Right, and so I've only ever eaten carbs, no protein, right? So I was like, the only thing I know that's not carbs is salad, and you were giving me like rabbit food. Really, it's like
no, that was our friend in the back that you were trying to feed me rabbit food.
And I was like that's the only thing I could think of. Like, what else is there? And the only one I shot down, in my defense, was Longhorn Steakhouse. I just didn't want to go to that specific steakhouse because I had it in San Antonio.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'd prefer it if I didn't to that one.
Yeah.
But I'm up for steakhouse, that's fine. I just didn't want that specific one, right? And and then it was like, man, it was hard to find something that could work for you.
Okay,
you
no,
I'm not putting you down. I'm just
saying,
no.
I
just started listing every restaurant I saw.
Sell the full story on this one. We were talking about, you're like, okay, what does that consist of? And our buddy in the back, Gamehead Geek, said, well, not Mexican food. And I'm like, yeah, that's right, because it's like tortillas, beans, rice. That's all carbohydrates.
Right. And so I recommended a place that was Italian.
Yes.
Which I get now. You've proved your point.
What's funny about that, everybody in the car are looking at you like...
In my defense, it wasn't Mexican food, though.
It's like...
There's less chili in Italian food.
Chili's not a problem. I can eat chili, no problem. That's actually one of the things I've been increasing in my diet.
Yeah.
Because it's actually really good, especially for weight loss.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like everybody just looked at you like, dude, Italian is just the other version of Mexican food. It's nothing but carbs.
Yeah.
Like, I know they sell salads there.
Yeah, like I was saying, like from what I've seen, and I knew somebody, my friend's wife, my brother's wife has to do gluten-free.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. And she found a lot of options there when they went in, because she was like, hey, is there any way I could do it this way or this way or this way? Mm-hmm. And they were super receptive. Now, granted, again, it was Italian, and a pizzeria, no less.
A pizzeria, yeah.
But they had, like, bento boxes with fancy different little small things. Anyway, but, and then so after I was like, okay, well, will this work? Will this work? Will this work? And you kept giving me the death glare. So I was like, you know what? I'm just listing every restaurant until just something happens. Well, and you just kept getting hangrier and hangrier and hangrier.
Okay.
To the point, I'm surprised you didn't grab the wheel out of my
Let's mention to all the people at the restaurants you said, after I've told you several times, low carb, high protein diet.
Again,
a sandwich shop, a ramen shop. Our friend made a joke of doing a sushi shop, but I told him I can't do that because of the rice in sushi.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I was like, we mentioned a place, a steakhouse, or so let's find something that we can do, that will have like chicken or anything out there.
Right.
All this and that, and you're like mentioning this all out, and our friends are like laughing in the back of the car.
I think they were nervously laughing.
No, I think it's because more of they were laughing because all your suggestions. Well, Jersey Mike's there. I'm like,
I know. I'm literally just driving down the road, listing every restaurant I see. Yeah, that's all I'm doing.
And so we finally decide
until something hits because
we're going straight down to like the next location that we need to go, and usually on that road there's a lot of restaurants there. We missed it by
it's adjacent to the university.
We missed it by one road. In all honesty, he turned around the corner, and we finally decided to go to the Black Bear Diner.
Yep.
And so we went to that place. And that's where all the damn restaurants were. It's like, there's a Longhorn, there's another steakhouse over there, there's a pub over there.
That's across the street from their mall, too. Or one of their malls. So.
Yeah, so it's like, there's all the restaurants.
Well, and now we know for
future reference.
Next time, yeah. But no, that was just silly, and I apologize again. But man, like, he death glares the whole time. After we finally got our meal, he was beaming with smiles, happy. Normal Daniel, back to normal.
Mind you, I'm on a restrictive diet again. Like as we're saying,
sure.
the last thing I ate was a low carb bagel and some fruit before we left because I'm
Right.
like I don't want to eat and drink a lot before we go because I don't want to have to use the restroom constantly as
Right,
we're
sure.
going and stuff like that because
Yeah.
I don't like drinking and eating a lot on our when we're doing these long haul trips. But yeah, no. So by the time we're like, okay, we're gonna go to this first place, do all this, then we're gonna go get lunch, and then we're like, okay, we'll hit the mall because it's right there. We'll go do this, and then we'll get a lunch. And we're like, hey, these are all the places, and we mentioned Longhorn, and you kibosh that, and we're like, well, there's not really anything else over here because it's all closed, really. And so we're like, you're like, all right, we'll go down Speedway. By the time we got where it was supposed to be our lunch, and the last time I've eaten was like 7 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
It was 3:30 in the afternoon when we finally got food. So.
Yeah, no, and you had every right to be hangry. I think all of us were to an extent.
Yeah.
But you definitely so.
Well, the thing
I'm
is,
used to that. I'm used to waiting until about 4
and
p.m.
the thing is, I don't snack like I used to. So, like, if I had gotten something at, like, say, one of our first stop-offs for getting gas, usually I'd get, like, jerky or something. I just got myself... Actually, I didn't get myself anything because I brought a bottle of water for me to drink on the trip.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, normally I would have at least had something to snack on. The guys in the back were actually snacking on something, so they weren't starving back there.
That's true. Sure.
At one point, I was sitting there like, did someone get recess or am I having a stroke? What's going on here? And it's because our friend got like chocolate fudge, peanut butter fudge pretzels. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I was like confused. I'm like, am I having a stroke or am I smelling peanut butter? Is that what's going on? Because I didn't know they had gotten those back there because I didn't see them buying anything when we stopped for gas. I think it was from our first stop before we left. Because our friend forgot his water bottle.
Which is pretty great.
Yeah.
And I want to give a shout out. So if you haven't pieced it together already, we've hinted a little bit of where this place is. It's called Tucson, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
We like Tucson a lot.
It's about 4 hours from us.
Yeah. And we go there, every few months or so. And for various reasons. Hey, so very wrong. Now in Tucson, Arizona, they have a couple bookstores called Bookman's, and we've given them a shout out before. We always like them. They've recently closed 2 of them, but then opened up a different one. So now there's only 2 locations in that
instead
city.
of 3. Yeah,
and it was pretty nice.
I like that new one.
What did you think of it?
I like that new one. Doesn't really have a big gaming collection right now, but some of the stuff that they had, I really was happy for because, like, I got a nice copy of 51st State Unpunched, the Master Edition, the Kickstarter version. Picked up that. Also ended up getting was the Manhattan Project or Energy Empires.
Yep.
So ended up picking up that one over there. So I was quite happy about those because one I really wanted and that was on my Christmas list and I never got it and brand spanking new for me. So I picked that up. And then I got that one, which I really did like. But we also went to actual 2 physical friendly local game stores there. And both picked up games in both those locations.
Yeah.
I picked up
one being
Games and Gadgets
in the Tucson Mall.
Yep. And I ended up picking Loot Up Lunar in Mori. M-O-R-I. 2 trick and taking games that I wanted to pick up from All Play. They had them in stock, so I grabbed both off the shelf. Mm-hmm. I honestly only saw Maury. You're the one that actually found Lunar. I think it was on the other side of the shelf or where it was. So
kind of hidden a little bit.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'll take these 2. These are the ones I wanted. Everybody picked up something. Our friend who's been looking for the Dark Horde expansion for Return to Dark Tower, the minis, he's been looking for that for a while, and they had it there, so he picked that one up from there.
Yeah.
And then the other one we went to was Isle of Games. And we did enjoy that one. I actually was able to find one of the games I collect, or Kinderspiel games.
Right, because that was the second time you had been there.
Yeah, this is the second time I've been there, and I picked up something there last time, but it was something really small, because we were there for a con. But this time when we went in there, they had pretty much a brand new copy of Istanbul Big Box, and that was one of the games. Now I'm down to 2 Kinderspiel winners I need to pick up. I could have gotten another one, but I want the actual copy that won the Kinderspiel, not the predecessor, because they had Witch's Brew there.
Yeah.
And I wanted Broom Service. So.
Yeah, which I don't blame you. I mean, it looks cool, and I got to give them credit. The employees there were very friendly, good time, very well stocked.
Yeah.
Very well stocked. Like we've talked about some of those game stores before that are like you're almost tripping on games.
Yeah.
This, if they had just a few more, you would be.
It was a
they-
bit cramped.
Yeah,
Where the
but all
shelves.
this, everything's up on the shelf.
Yeah, you're not
other
going
than
to trip over anything. It's just like really cramped, and you're
Yeah.
like, okay, where? But there's so much like.
Right.
There was more than like these two shelves right there. So like how you could still kind of read my stuff, you have to move things out of the way,
Yep.
and then you have to look at the very bottom and at the very tippity top,
Yep.
and you're like, okay, what do they got up there? It was like wall to wall, just games from
Yep.
like floor to ceiling.
Yeah.
So it was
They
like
just need a bigger space, really.
they really do, but honestly, they're probably going to end up doing like what Games and Gadget did. Games and Gadget started the same way, really cramped, have everything on the shelves, and just slowly expanded. So it was this part, and then they added the miniatures area where they have like all their miniature stuff sold, and then they added on in the back a little pub. Where they sell like drafts and stuff like that, beer and wines and stuff like that. And then you have
a short rest tavern.
Yeah, the short. Yeah, that is. And then you go into the right. They took over another space in the mall, and it's their gaming area now. And they have like 2 rooms in the back as well that they can rent out for like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a really impressive place at how that one grew, and I could see Isla Games doing that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So we just want to give them a quick shout out. And before we get into today's episode, let's talk about what today's episode is.
Yeah.
It is our Board Game Brainstorm episode. Once a month we have one of these Board Game Brainstorms where we take a classic game and we break it down with our criteria and give you recommendations based on those 5 criteria.
Yeah.
Whether it's ease of play, replay value, meaningful choice, game immersion, or art and components. But before we get into today's episode, Daniel, what have you been doing outside of gaming?
So, this one was actually kind of hard for me because I always talk about like sports and stuff like that, and it's kind of a hard year for me.
You always talk about sports?
I talk about all the sports I'm into, like going to a bowl game and stuff like that. That was really fun. But the fact that this is like the dry spell for me. I mean, hockey's still going, but once that's done, the football playoffs are going on. I'm gonna be like, come March is like, come on already, get the baseball games going, because I don't really watch basketball all that much. It's not really intriguing to me. But I love hockey, but that's the only thing that's going on, so I do watch all of that. But there's another thing I actually do collect, and I didn't realize it. I was just sitting up front, and I'm like, I'm gonna put some music on. Oh, I do have another collection outside my hats and my board games. I collect vinyl records. So much so, my mother-in-law actually got me a Christmas gift of coasters that are vinyl records.
Yeah, those are great too.
And it comes in where you keep the coasters. It comes in a little record player, so to keep the coasters from falling out, it's the actual needle that holds it in place. So I thought those were adorable and great, and I love them a lot. But yeah, and my main thing with the vinyl records, I basically collect music that I like. I'll do like new pressings. But I'll also get like classic ones. Like I have Glenn Miller Band. I have because I like some of the big band era music. I have some classic 50. I have Chuck Berry original pressing, like one of his greatest hits.
Nice.
I do have a lot of Beatles. I do enjoy the Beatles. Who else do I have? I collect like Tool. I'm a big fan of Tool. I have 2 Tool records. My wife has been getting really into it a lot lately too. So now we have like 3 or 4 Ghost pressings. I have a bunch of Queen albums. So I need to get more like crates to hold all these because I'm actually busting at the seams. We have Christmas albums to listen for Christmas. So like we have the Pentatonic Christmas album. We have both Trans-Siberian vinyls that you can find right now. So we have all that stuff. Yeah, I really do enjoy it. I have a Audio-Technica, and it's not a really big record player, but you've heard the sound out of that.
Good call.
It's got really good sound coming out of it. I even have records from board games. The Level 99 was nice enough to gift me the vinyl for Bullet, and we listened to it when we played Bullet, so
Absolutely.
we had a great time with it.
That was
so
great.
Yeah, I do love collecting vinyl. I love the sound of vinyls, and I was very fascinated with them growing up. My dad used to have the massive one that was like probably about 5 feet tall, where it's like the master deck, and then you have like the tape players, and there was an 8-track that can be fed into it as well.
Yep.
And then you have the big giant speakers
that did not have a brand on them.
Yeah, they were just next to it. Yeah,
they were just speakers.
Yeah, they were just speakers. I loved everything about it growing up, and I'm trying to see if I can ever find these because my dad always bought me these little records that were basically radio serials. So I had like Mighty Mouse and The Adventures of Superman and stuff like that. And I haven't been able to find those, but I am looking for them for nostalgia purposes, because my dad used to put them on for me, and I'd just sit there and listen to them. So it kind of reminds me just recently when we watched The Christmas Story, when he was listening to Little Orphan Annie and stuff like that. That's how it was for me. My dad would put on a vinyl, let me listen to the story, and go do something like cooking and stuff like that. It's like one of my first memories when I was like 4, 5, 6 years old. So yeah, it's awesome. Vinyl records. Yeah.
Cool. So I've been working on something speaking of reminiscing of the past, I've been playing Super Mario RPG a lot. And last night I beat it, which was good. Like I think I beat it at about 16 hours, 15 minutes. So I took my time. I know it could be significantly shorter than that.
So that's what you stayed up so late for.
That is why I stayed up late, because I was very determined.
Yeah.
And I was at the point where I leveled up my characters where I didn't have to heal before I beat the final boss.
That makes sense.
Which is a really good sign.
Yeah.
Like, that means that you've really pushed
You're really over leveled.
Yeah. And so if you've ever played Super Mario RPG, or even if you haven't, they just remade it for the Nintendo Switch. I got it for Christmas, and it is my favorite game of all time for video games.
Honestly, for what it was back in the day, it pushed the Super Nintendo to its limit. That was like one of the most beautiful games back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was really nice, and it's true. You know, they a lot of the graphics were updated. A lot of the same stuff happened, except every once in a while in this remake, they'll have little changes on purpose, and just kind of like as a fun little nod.
Mm-hmm.
So once I had beaten it, I was like, oh, that's cool. I was like, finally did it. Sat there. I was like actually dozing off a little bit, so I had to sit up so I could finish watching the credits, you know. and I got it, and then it was like, oh, well, like go ahead and save it, you know. You can have it as a game save, and you can keep going and have more fun. And I was like, huh? And so obviously, and I won't give spoilers, but they threw in a little bit extra to play with you.
Yep, and that's what they do nowadays.
Yep, and that's good because like, you know, when you want to play a remake, you don't want them to change it so much to the point where it's, you know, like completely changing the fundamentals of it, which they certainly didn't.
Yeah.
But they allude to the little differences here and there, and then now I'm at that part where I'm doing the post-game stuff.
Yeah.
So
I also do
see where it's going.
I also do like the fact that they made it where you can put like an easier mode on, and it just makes it more friendly for kids to play.
Sure, yeah.
You don't have to have it on. You can play it naturally, and that's how I've been playing it. The only thing is I haven't beat it yet because I got distracted with my new shiny thing that my friends gave me for Christmas, the new Spider-Man game. I really loved the Spider-Man back in the day, so yeah. That's the only reason I haven't beaten, because I was enjoying the mess out of that.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, up until I started really playing Super Mario RPG about last week or so, I had been playing Animal Crossing daily since then. And I finally paid off my house in Animal Crossing, so I was like, cool, that's like the major milestone. Now I don't need to like do the hustle and bustle every single day, getting all the extra money. Now I'm just gonna I'm gonna take a break from it.
Yeah.
Go into Super Mario RPG. Now I can go back to Animal Crossing once I figure out what this extra stuff is.
Yeah.
But that's what I've been doing lately. Is I've been video gaming a lot.
Yeah. That I know, because you would always talk about, I'm going to go home and do something or even before then, I'm going to go home and work on my island.
Well, yeah, I got it. I mean, now there's probably a bunch of weeds and cockroaches in my house, you know, but...
Yeah, you got to go do stuff.
Got to go do stuff, got to go maintain it. I mean, I did enough chores at the house today, now I got to help out Animal Crossing, you know, it's never ending.
Yep, exactly.
It's tough life.
You cleaned your house, and now you got to clean your house again, but this one in the video game world.
Yeah, my virtual house, yeah.
There you go.
But I have a lot of cool toys in that virtual house, though, so it's pretty good.
Really? I've seen your game room. You got a lot of cool toys in your regular house.
And that's the other thing I've been doing, is now that we took that trip, viewers of the podcast or listeners of the podcast will know that one of my previous year's gaming goals was to clean out the game room, which we talked about it a couple months ago. You actually came over and really helped me finish it, but it wasn't close to being done yet.
Well, it was close to being done because you haven't been able to get rid of the games you were trying. You were waiting for this trip.
Yeah, exactly. So I culled at least 100 board games,
if not more.
In this process, cleared out a bunch. Finally got it clean today. Today was my wholesome day. I can just go in there. There's no chairs, so I might just like awkwardly sit in the middle of like a in the floor or something and be surrounded by cardboard.
You should, whenever they bring it up, get that, the all-play, the foldable gaming table that they're going to come up with, and put that in your gaming room.
That's not a bad idea. This might be an opportunity for me to try and build my own.
That is true. You do have the space in that room for not a huge one, but I think you could do at least a 4 by 4 foot.
Yeah, probably.
If not a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, I think you can get what my dining room table is, a 6 by 4. I think is what my.
I probably could. I just don't want to risk having another spot to put things on.
Yeah, the chairs. But if you get that folding one that Game Found is supposed to be coming up with. You could, once you're done, put it up and, hey, look, there's no table for me to put stuff on.
Exactly. It's like, oh no, there's stuff in the middle of the floor. I can't put on my table. Rats. Not again. Skunked again. All right, let's get into today's episode. As I talked about at the top of the episode, we're going to be breaking down a classic board game. And I say classic loosely. A lot of gamers do know about this game. I haven't said what it is yet.
And it's still in print.
Our criteria is 5 years older or more.
10.
I'm sorry, 10 years older or more.
And we thought it would be funny because it's 2024 now to go into the 2014 pool.
Yep, that's right. And so this game came out in 2014, I believe. And this is one of the biggest deck builders at the time. This is Star Realms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the way I went through this one for these picks, I went through to make sure, and I usually try to do this where you can still get the game.
Sure.
That I'm recommending, making it easy for people to go out to get it. That's one of my criterias for this, is that it needs to be currently in print, and I did check multiple places. Like, I know a few are kind of hard to get. But you can go to directly to the website of the company, and they'll usually sell it there too.
Sure.
And you can go to other places too.
So, yeah, we have plenty of games that we're going to be recommending today.
Yes.
Where not just a game, but five different games based on our criteria each. Yeah, maybe some.
We may have crossovers, but
more than likely, I already know one that I think is going to be on your list. That's not on mine, but I think I know one that's definitely on yours. But we'll see. I'll save my predictions till later. But we'll break them down in 5 different ways. One will be ease of play, how familiar, simple the mechanisms are, the likelihood of getting it to the table, and how easy it is to understand, learn, and or teach.
The next criteria we use is replay value. This is the length and time of the scaling wheel of the game, the minimum number of plays for the full experience, and expandability if there's already existing expansions or future expansions coming.
Yeah. Meaningful choice, the impact on other players, the depth of strategy, tactics, or skills, and likelihood of analysis paralysis.
And game immersion. Is the game fun to lose? The player interactions, whether you're role-playing or you're having table talk, you're trash talking, just enjoying messing with each other. And the memorable moments, the stuff that is going to make you stand up and shout.
Yeah. And art and production, the art, graphic design, pieces and components. So if you like any of those factors about Star Realms, hopefully you'll find games that you can branch off to from there.
Exactly. And also, in my case, I did not put Hero Realms in there because it's like a 1-to-1.
Agreed. Yeah, Hero Realms is almost like a direct copy, so I wanted to make sure that was separated as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I did not put
Just one is sci-fi and one's fantasy.
Yep. And I actually don't think I have any Wise Wizard games on here.
No,
I do not.
Nope, I do not.
Cool. All right, so we'll begin with ease of play.
Yep.
We do know that Star Realms is a pretty simple game.
A straightforward deck builder.
Yep, easy to pick up and learn, and you're going to be starting us.
All right, so my first game here, I try to avoid going too many deck builders, but I mean, it's too infrequent. There's a lot of good games that follow that deck building thing.
Sure.
And so when I thought of ease of play, the first thing that popped in my mind, and I'm like, yep, it works. And Star Realms, you're just going head-to-head and fighting each other. It started as a 2-player, and it expanded where you can play with 4 people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you're still going to head-to-head and trying to knock people's points off. I'm like, sometimes that's going to be a turn-off for some people. So what I went ahead for the ease of play is something that's still going to give you that feel, still going to give you that deck building capabilities. It is a deck builder, but it's not going to be head-to-head. Instead, it's a race, and this one is Summer Camp. It's a game by Buffalo Games. It's really well component. It's a simple race deck building. You're getting different sets of, and it's modular too. So you're picking basically 3 different sets of cards that you're going to buy into, plus the standard cards you use every game. And what you're doing is you're just trying to move down the track and be the furthest one to get all the way. Because once someone gets to the last side, you're trying to get your meeples all the way over there to get as many points as you can. The most points at the end of the game wins. Mm-hmm. It is by far one of the simplest deck builders that are out there. Mm-hmm. There's no head-to-head really other than a race. Sometimes it gets a little finicky because you get stuck at certain points where you have like high-powered value out there. And so you got to finagle how you're going to try to get those out there. I wish there was a way you can cycle through the deck a little bit more, through the buying decks and stuff like that. But in all, it's a very beautiful done game by Phil Walker Harding, who is one of our favorite designers.
Sure.
So yeah, I really do love the theme on this as well, because everybody remembers having good memories of, either going camping or just doing fun stuff in summer, like hiking or cooking outside and doing stuff like that. So, yeah, so for me, it is summer camp. That was like the first thing that came to mind when I thought of Easy Play.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good pick, because in Star Realms, one of the big things, unlike previous deck builders from years before, you were limited in how you can approach it. You were limited in either number of actions or whatever. Mm-hmm. Star Realms was the first one where it literally just said, okay, just play everything and go. Like that's his big thing. Mm-hmm. So it makes it real simple. When you're playing with somebody new, you can say, literally just put down your hand and I'll show you what you need to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Any damage is coming straight to me anyway.
Yeah.
And
then you're just any money, you're just buying something out of the row.
Yeah, you're buying something out of the row. So it's really easy to pick up and go with that. And I feel Summer Camp does that as well. And also another thing that Star Realms does that I think is really interesting is the fact that when you play multiple factions, it can kind of give you that little combo system going. And Summer Camp also does that as well. Like, as you move your meeples along, you might land on another spot that lets you draw a card or move another piece and kind of get that simple combo-tastic nature of it, right?
Yep, exactly.
Which is why that's also my pick.
I was like, I know where you're going with this now.
You know where I'm going with this, yeah. Summer Camp, I 100% agree. Ease of play.
That was like I said, that was the first thing that came to me, Ease of Play. And I'm like, I was looking at my shelf, I'm like, oh, nope, there it is.
Well, so Star Realms was kind of the game that I use as an introduction to deck building, and I think Summer Camp has replaced that for me.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree.
Just barely, though.
Star Realms was one, and for me, I would use Fantasy Realms because that was the one I preferred.
Yeah.
But when Summer Camp... Hero Realms, sorry, yeah. Yep. Hero Realms. Fantasy Realms is a totally different game.
Very different game.
But Hero Realms, when it came to Summer Camp, when I was like, this is a great introductory. When we first played it, we fell in love with it. It was funny, was it Dom with us, or was it Nate with us when you're like, hey, they have it at Target, and we went and bought it and played it immediately?
I don't know.
I know somebody was with us.
It was Dom.
Yeah, and somebody was with us. You went and bought it because it was the only copy there. Came back, we all played it.
It literally was during one of our game nights.
Yeah.
And we had been talking about it. It's like, I wonder if it's in stock at Target. So I looked at the phone. Oh, it says it's in stock. There's multiple copies. Let's go. And then that's one of the very few times that's ever happened.
Yeah, and it was
awesome.
Yeah, we had a great time with it. So yeah, it's easy to play.
Cool. Let's go on to replay value. And this is games that scale around the same length of time, feels fast, minimum number of plays, also same number of expansions.
Plus expansions.
Or as close as you can be. You'll be starting us.
All right, so I'm thinking this is the one you thought was going to be on my list. Do you want to try to take
Ascension?
it? Yep. And it was just for this reason. This game, you can find the 10th anniversary edition still. You can find some of the other editions still. Like, we saw some at Isle of Games. They had stuff at Isle of Games for Ascension. Yeah, and it's this one. It's a head-to-head battler, except for you're not fighting each other. You're just trying to get the most points by either fighting monsters that are coming in the center row, or you're buying stuff out of the center row, which also will give you points. I like the scaling on this one because depending on the player count is in there is a pool of coins or tokens, like gems, which will tell you how much. So in a 2-player game, I think it's like 60 gems. There's 1s and 5s. So once that pool's gone, you could still grab from outside that pool, but that's your timer. So once that pool's done, then you just finish out that round. And then you pick up all those, you count up your points out of the gyms and the points on the card, and it does really, really well. And I love this game a lot. I have like 4 or 5 different, not expansions, because all their expansions really, there's like a couple expansions, but most of it is just standalone expansions. You can mix and match. There's some that are really good. If you get a chance, I highly recommend getting Dawn of Champions. And the reason being is because it is the same reason I would recommend if you get Star Realms, you get the, I forget what it is. I think it's the Captain's expansion, where it kind of gives you an idea of what kind of cards you want to go after, because you're going to get stuff based off that. So in Star Realms, if you have the Captain that deals with the blob, you kind of want to start collecting blob cards because they're going to be all work with you. And Dawn of Champions does the same thing, where you have 4 different factions in there. And now it's saying, hey, if you're the Mechana champion, if you buy enough Mechana or you fight enough Mechana monsters, you're going to get your champion into your deck, and you're going to start doing its special ability. And so that is my favorite set of Ascension. It's a little hard to find because it's a few years old now. I think it was like 2017 when that one came out.
Yeah.
But you could get the 10th anniversary edition. Still, you can get some of the little 2-player, like 1v1 packs.
Yeah, because this came out about the same time.
Yeah. But this is still very solid. And the same thing with Star Realms. You can still get this one, too. It's still being supported by their companies. But yeah, for me, it's Ascension.
And so very wrong recommended Shards of Infinity, which is like Ascension Plus as well.
Yeah, and I don't have Shards of Infinity. I haven't played it. You always highly recommended it. So on their most recent Kickstarter, I backed the all-in, so I'm getting everything for it.
Oh, so. Nice. Yeah, you're going to really enjoy it.
The only thing I didn't do was back the 10. I wanted the box. I don't care about the foil cards. Just give me the box. I do not want the 10.
Yeah, I don't like how that went. Cool. One I had for replay value, it does not have nearly as many expansions. In fact, it only has 1 expansion, so it's not that. But what I really wanted it to feel like is something that has that same, like, Star Realms, it has replay value in how the cards come out, how you build your deck, but you are essentially moving the same engine along. You know, it's just in slightly different variables and how it works. And I wanted a game that felt like that, like where you could see slightly different nuances as you're playing each game. It feels about the same. It plays, I think, 2 to 4 as well. This is Furnace.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I thought that made perfect sense other than just not...
So it's not a deck builder, it's more of an engine builder. So,
yeah, absolutely. And, you know, deck builders are engine builders to an extent, right? To a degree.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you like how you could bring it out real easy, it plays good at all player counts. Pretty simple to learn once you get past the very quick learning curve. You're like, cool, I can learn how to play this, replay it, and then every time you play it from there, you can add a little bit of nuance, a little bit of different changes in how you approach everything with the different characters as well as the different furnaces, and converting those engines while still feeling not samey, but feeling comfortable and familiar as you're playing. I thought Furnace made sense for replay value.
Yeah, I was trying to get an engine builder in here, but I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to go with the straight deck builders because these are the things I was thinking about. So, yeah, no, but that's a great pick.
Thank you. All right. Meaningful choice. This is how well you can impact other players' strategy, which, I mean, this is specifically head-to-head combat is Star Realms. Your depth of strategy, tactics, or skills, and also, like, how quick the turns move. Like, do you analyze, overanalyze? Can you get lost in strategy? Let's talk about meaningful choice. There we go. I'll be starting this one.
There you go.
So this one is probably the closest to Star Realms that out of all of the games. And this is like Star Realms Plus. I don't think you own it yet. But this was one that I saw at the Gamma Trade Show. A friend of mine bought it from Fantasy Flight Games. And yeah, you know what it is immediately, right? This is Star Wars, the deck building game. It really is Star Realms Plus. This is one of those ones where if you like the strategy that you're going into a game of Star Realms and you want to give it that little bit extra push extra oomph, Star Wars deck building game is incredibly familiar.
Yeah.
It has cards that stay in front of you, similar to...
Mind you, it has the worst name ever.
It really does.
It has the most generic name.
It's not the worst name, but it is the most generic. Like, it's the most uninspired title as you can get.
It really is. It's telling you exactly what it is. It's a Star Wars game, and it's deck building. It's not like
that's what it
the
is.
Fight of the Empire or something like that.
Right, exactly. And you have that direct conflict. You know, instead of Star Realms, you're trying to get them from 50 to 0 life. This one, you're trying to kill 3 of their bases, but it's same general idea. You're doing damage. You can also, in this one though, you can actually attack some of the cards that belong to certain people in the middle before they're purchased to give yourself a little bonus.
Yeah, I do like that twist.
Yeah, which is a great twist to it. So instead of attacking your planet or one of your cards that stay out, whether it's a base or whatever it is, I could attack it, but instead might want to attack this one card in the middle just to make sure that I can do enough damage for it.
Yeah.
It works really well.
It does.
And again, if you're starting to get to the point where you've played through and through. Now, granted, the scenarios help fix that in Star Realms, so it's right on the same point. It's comfortable. It's just as good depth of strategy, and it's familiar with the IP. It's a great
strictly 2-player game though, because it says you can play 4. I don't recommend that. In all honesty, because you need to get a second copy of it too.
Star Realms was fine at 2.
2, yeah.
But I mean, like Star Realms was great at 2.
At 2, yeah.
No. It was fine at 4.
Yeah.
Or more. But I don't. It's the same idea. The Star Wars, the deck building game, just 2-player game, but very good strategy.
All right. So the one I went for in meaningful choice is, and by the way, that was a good pick. Is one of the newer ones out there, and it can be one of 2 things. The one I picked is the one I have played, so that's why I went with this one, and that is Astro Knights. I do really like this one when it comes to the meaningful choice, especially when it comes to impacting other player strategy, because you have to work as a team when you're fighting like the big bad and stuff like that, and it kind of forces you to kind of role play your character too. Yeah. So this could have gone either in this one or game immersion, but I think it just fits here better because, again, with the impacting of other player strategies as well as the depth of strategy, tactics, and skills, you need to learn to play your character, because my character, he's the fighter. You want to take care of me as the fighter, and you're like, okay, I'm going to give you these weapons for you can start doing your thing over there. And our other friend was like, I'm going to start getting these cards in here for I can start doing this. And now I'm going to boost your power. This way you can hold more weapons to shoot the thing over there. And so you're working as a team. You're actually strategizing as a whole, like how we're going to do this. It's like, hey, if I do this, or if you could somehow give me that gun over there, and then my character can shoot it 4 different times. And so it affects it. And then when you get into, like, most deck building, once you're done with your stuff, you take it up, you shuffle it up, and it just kind of randomizes everything in there. And then you have a whole nother depth of that choice you got to make as to how you're going to set up your discard pile. Because once you're having to draw, you flip over your discard pile, and whatever was at the bottom is now your top of the deck. And I really do like that. And I said this is kind of a couple games, because Astro Knight's the one I picked because that's the one we play, but Aeon Ends does the exact same thing. It's just fantasy versus sci-fi, so along the same lines as Hero Realms versus Star Realms.
Astro Knights.
Astro Knights, yes. Yeah. So, but the other one is Aeon Ends, so it's back and forth between the two. You can do either or, depends on what flavor you want. And I went with this one another too because it fits with the Star Realms themes too, because both of these are in space and sci-fi and stuff like that. So it does enhance and give you that feel of you have to make smart choices with how you're building your discard pile in your deck and working as a team. So yeah, for me it was Astro Knights.
All right, now let's go into game immersion. This is talking about like a combination of, is the game fun to lose? They brings you into the theme. Do you have those memorable moments? Are you likely to role play your characters? And finally, does it have those stand-up moments, those really impactful ones? Star Realms, unfortunately, doesn't have much of that.
Yeah, they can at times.
It's fine to lose. It's still satisfying either way, because most deck builders do that.
And before we get going, So Very Wrong About Games says, Shadow Rift is also a great deck building co-op.
Have not played it.
No, not either.
I will check that out then. All right, game immersion. Let's talk about games that are similar to the game immersion.
All right, and it's a good thing I'm going first because you've already mentioned this game. It's our second crossover. I went in game immersion with this one. This is Star Wars, the deck building game, and I do own it. It's at the bottom right there.
Okay, cool.
It is a good head-to-head battler like Star Realms is, and I do love the theme that comes out of it. It's another space battler, but it's with the Star Wars theme on it, and the reason why I put it in here, because there was memorable moments when I played this game. Our mutual friend Dom, I was playing against him. He was playing the Jedi side, and I was playing the the Empire side. Yeah. And so I took a commanding lead because the way your decks, the asymmetrical feel of this, makes you really get into that player interaction. I was calling him Rebel Scum as I was fighting him the whole time. And so, and it gives you that thematic. I'm very good out the gate. I literally took a 2 planet to none lead in the very beginning, but then his card, instead of like concentrating on taking his stuff out of the middle row and fighting those things, I was like, I'm gonna just concentrate and try to take his planets. But he started getting his good cards in there, and they started working together, and he basically built the Rebel Alliance, and he just started hammering me, and there was nothing I could do. I could put out my big starbase over there. He takes that out. Then he starts hitting my planet. And I put another starbase out there, and Darth Vader comes out, and he takes out that. And now Darth Vader's in my discard pile, so I'm like, oh god, there's my very powerful card over there. And so it leads to all those memorable moments, and so I'm getting his last planet, and it's close to being defeated. And then boom, he just ends up hitting my last planet and destroys me. And he literally was down 2-0, came back and won 3-2. And I was like, that is exactly how it feels in the movies and stuff like that, because you feel like the Empire is like this big, strong force.
Yeah.
And the rebels are just building and taking pot shots here and there.
Underdogs.
And then they start working together and do really, really big. And I was like, that is an amazing, and it comes out in this, and you really do get into that immersiveness, and it leans to that memorable moments. And I lost that game, and I had a blast with it. So for me, that's why this went there rather than the meaningful choice. And though that is a great spot there too for it, I really got into the role playing aspect of this game. So
sure,
Star Wars, the deck building game.
The one that I had for game immersion, we brought it up earlier, is that Hero Realms and Star Realms, are effectively the same game.
Yeah.
Whether you like sci-fi or whether you like fiction, or fantasy.
Yeah.
Medieval style.
They're all
fantasy,
fiction.
Right. They're all fiction, right? And there's different versions of that, but it can be adapted to either one. But what it really comes down to is the core mechanisms is what carries the game. The fast, quick gameplay, the feeling like, different parts of it does actually feel different depending on how I'm approaching it. And I actually found a card game that I thought it's kind of a generic sci-fi theme, and it's based off of a medieval card game as well, or at least they're very similar. I picked Race for the Galaxy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
is that based off Dominion?
San Juan.
San Juan, yeah.
Yeah, which is, it's effectively,
Well, no, isn't San Juan based off of
Puerto Rico?
Puerto Rico, yeah.
So both San Juan and Race for the Galaxy came out around the same time.
I think
Tom Lehman, who came up with Race for the Galaxy, was also working with another person independently with San Juan, and they just happened to be developing it near the same time. There is enough differences between them, but they are, feeling they're similar games. So it's one of those ones where if you like San Juan, you'll probably like Race for the Galaxy, or vice versa.
I like San Juan a lot. I haven't played Race for the Galaxy.
Yeah, it's a space version, kind of. Okay. There's a little bit. There is enough differences between the two. Where you can tell like the fantasy version is a little more friendly, like kind of like in Hero Realms.
The thing too about Race for the Galaxy, this thing is around the same time Star Realms came out, if not earlier.
Oh, much earlier.
And it's still in print too, so
yeah.
That's saying something about its staying power.
Yep. Race for the Galaxy has been around for a really long time, and so you've never played it, but you wouldn't like it on the colorblind part of it.
Oh yeah. No, you've warned me about it. So you even told me like if you like it, San Juan would probably be something you would want to pick up because it's much easier on
it does. It's not reliant on colors. Yeah, and so this gives me that same immersiveness. It's a space themed. If you like sci-fi, you could bring it out just by acting out the characters. But it gives you the same feel. You're building that engine. You're being clever with the cards, and you're gonna feel about the same winning a round of Star Realms as you would with winning Race for the Galaxy. Albeit it is a little more complicated, but not by much.
Yeah. No, I agree. When it comes to like San Juan, I've played that one, but I haven't played Star Realms. Or not Star Realms.
Hero Realms.
No, the one you're talking about.
Race
for the Galaxy.
Yeah.
I've looked at Roll for the Galaxy for a while too. So
yeah, it was okay.
But no, I do want to try it, but I'm just real hesitant with the color blindness.
Yes, it's very tough.
All right, last one.
And our last one will be Pieces and Components, or Art and Production.
Yep.
And this is pretty straightforward. This is talking about graphic design. This is talking about
just component quality,
all that stuff. I'll be starting us off. Star Realms is a deck building card game. There's not, in fact, they don't have tokens in that. They have life counters that are made up of cards.
Yeah.
But you have a life counter, you have starting deck of cards, and you have damage that's being distributed amongst the different things.
Yeah.
It's pretty straightforward how it works, but it's all fundamentally it is just a card game. So I wanted to pick a card game, obviously, because those are the pieces and components. I wanted a good quality card game, like not just like a flimsy, cheap card one. So I found one with, 300-pound paper, I think minimum. But I really like the art in both Star Realms and Hero Realms. Like I think they're really great art.
Okay.
Like there's very few times that I'm like, ugh, that's ugly art. No, almost all the artists do a beautiful job on it. It's really high quality, but it also has a bit of levity to it. So I was like, what's a card game that has really like specifically good art, but doesn't have to take itself seriously all the time? I picked Keyforge for that, and a lot of the art in that is, I mean, it's a little more playful, but again, you could tell that a lot of the artists could have had background in like making Magic the Gathering cards.
Yeah,
that's the high quality. I didn't want to pick Magic the Gathering because I don't think that's a genuine recommendation. Just because you like Star Realms, I don't necessarily think you'll like Magic the Gathering. However, I will say that one of the designers of Star Realms was like a Magic the Gathering player, like professional Magic the Gathering player. So obviously he had some inspiration. He knew that he wanted good art for it. So Keyforge, being Richard Garfield's later game and from Fantasy Flight, it just has great art, great theming to it. Like the action that's present in the cards themselves are really great, and the iconography is consistent. Like you understand what you're looking at, you understand why you're looking at it, and what the purpose is of what you're doing.
And if you buy a deck, you can just play the deck and you're fine.
Yeah, exactly. So pieces and components, honestly, and inexpensive to get into Keyforge.
Yeah, so I always find this funny because we always go at two different points when it comes to pieces and components. You're like, I want something pretty much the same. I'm like, I want something that's the same or better quality. And so I went on the better quality, but I went along the same kind of like meta aspect of the game. A little too meta, but I really want to give this game a lot more love. I did finally get to play this, and I did really enjoy it. It's from our friends at Level 99. I ended up picking Millennium Blades for my art and production copy because you get some great components out of there. You get stacks of paper money.
Yep.
It is, in essence, deck building, per se, because you're buying and willing and dealing to get decks in your things, and you're playing them out into a tableau, so you're trying to get like the best set of cards for your engine to fire off correctly to get the most amount of points, or what is in there, prestige or legendary or something like that. I just really, really enjoyed this one. I had a great time with it, and so I just love the metagame aspect of it, and it comes with great card quality like Star Realms. It comes with great components when you have like your little player mat that's double-sided, and you have deck boxes, and you have off the cards and stuff like that. I love the meta aspect of it in that sense. You're basically playing a TCG deck building slightly card game, and so I do enjoy this one a lot, especially when it comes to the pieces and components. And I know for a fact you can still find it in the wild because I saw a copy of this at Isle of Games. So.
That's right. So if you're in the Tucson area, go get it.
Yeah, so if you get a chance, it's a really great game. It's really well produced. It's probably one of the largest production games I've ever put on any of this list.
Sure.
But I love this game a lot for what it is. So
now to keep in mind, Millennium Blades is at least $100. I think it's like $120 or so.
Yeah.
Star Realms is $20.
20, yeah.
So,
like I said, equal to or above. This is well above. So I wasn't going about budget. That's not one of our criteria.
We want to thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed this episode, as shenanigans as it may be. But, again, if you'd like anything with Star Realms, then hopefully you'll find some of the games that we've recommended. And especially the crossovers, there's a reason
why they're
Daniel and I are both recommending those.
And the fact that we almost had a double pure crossover is that you had yours in Meaningful Choice and my other one was in Game Immersion, which were like right back to back, and then we had the same ease of play too. Yeah,
exactly. So there's a reason we recommend those. So hopefully you'll find another game that you love with our board game breakdown today, or board game brainstorm today. And we want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you ever want to contact us directly, whether it's to give us ideas for future episodes, say hello, or enter in future contests, you can email us at everydayboardgames2020@gmail.com.
As well as all video re-uploads will be found on YouTube under youtube.com/@everydayboardgamespodcast. And if you like what we do, there are 3 things you can do to help us grow on the platform. Subscribe if you're not, like the video, and comment down below and tell us your thoughts on the subject.
And if you ever want to join us on a live episode, like our friends Masmo, So Very Wrong About Games, or Corrupt Senate, You can join us at twitch.tv/everydayboardgames, where we stream weekly for our live episodes and join in on the conversation.
As well as all audio versions can be found on most podcast platforms under Everyday Board Games Podcast. This includes Spotify, Google, Amazon Music, Podbean, and Apple.
So as always, I've been your host, Daniel.
And I've been your host, Daniel.
And we want to thank you for listening to Everyday Board Games.
And remember, every day is a good day for board gaming.